So you join me down here at Cokin Farm. We're coming sort of into the later part of autumn and the early winter. You know, these sort of venues like this are ideal. They've got a good head of fish. They've got some really nice ones as well. I'm just going to run you through a few of the tactics that I'd use on these sort of waters at this time of year. So a perfect little setup for venues like Clover here at Cokin Farm is the solid bag. So I'm just going to run you through my setup that I use in the solid bag. So I've got 4.5 inches of supple braid to a size 4 wide gate beak point hook. This one's a barbless version because it's barbless here at Cokin Farm. A little bit of shrink tube and a little bit of silicone that traps the hair on the back of the hook. And this is connected to a 3-ounce inline lead, which will sit lovely in a solid bag. So I'm going to talk you through exactly how I tie up my solid bags. I start off by taking a small sized solid. I give it a little stretch, which will make it easier to compact once we've filled the bag. I'll add a little small layer of the all-season bag mix to the bottom of the bag. I lay my rig in there. Now I do like to just pierce my hook through the bottom of the bag. This keeps it away from any small pellets, also stops the hair tangling when I compact the bag. A little bit more of the all-season bag mix. Get a bit of my crushed boilie, a little layer of that on there. That's soaked in the Amino 365, which is a banging liquid for this time of year. I'll then place my lead right in the center of the bag. Add a bit more of the all-season, just to cover the lead. And this is where you get your bags nice and solid. So I'll then tap that down on my knee. And as I tap, I'll start to twist the bag around the stem of the inline lead. And just press that down. Keep pulling your bag. That'll make it nice and tight. Take a length of your PVA tape, wrap that around the stem and the bag a couple of times. And I'll tie that off with a couple of overhand knots. Trim those tag ends off, and this is where putting those pellets in the bottom of the bag make it easier to fold and tuck the corners in. So I'll give them a little push and twist, lick that corner, fold it over, same with the other side. This just ensures that the bag will get to the bottom nice and quickly. Trim off your excess around the stem, and voila, one solid bag that's perfect for this time of year. One thing I notice that a lot of people do on these heavily sort of pressured day ticket waters is their opening gambit is to come and put a lot of bait out. But one thing I've noticed over the years is, you know, and I've fished quite a few of these, especially this time of year, is that they don't actually respond to loads and loads of bait. And I think that's probably because they've had a summer of being absolutely hammered and loads of bait has gone in. So I tend to sort of like start off with the bag approach or maybe a little stick, and I'll tend to only sort of catapult sort of 20 or 30 freebies over the top. And again, where you can get away with it, I'll use 10 mils like I am on this session, and like let the fish tell me as to whether they want more or not. So if I start getting bites more regularly, then I'll up the bait. But certainly to start off with, I'll only sort of put a small handful of bait over the top of my bags. And it's something that CC Moores produce all year round, the 10mm boilies. So naturally carp do feed on smaller food items. So where it allows, using 10mm boilies is a definite edge. So a little tip for fishing these heavily pressured day ticket waters is I like to use fluorocarbon mainline. That's for two reasons really. One, because it's virtually invisible in the water, and two, because it sinks like an absolute brick. This means that it will lie along the contours of the lake bed, and any passing traffic or passing fish coming through the peg, it won't spook them. I really believe that fishing line is one of the biggest reasons that fish spook out of your swim, or they don't like feeding constantly when there's lines, especially tight lines, running straight through your peg. So what I tend to do is cast it out, and rather than, like I see so many anglers do, just sort of reel down tight and chuck it straight on their bite alarms, put their bobbin on and just leave a bowstring tight line go straight out to their hook bait. I like to sort of just give it a few minutes, you know, take my time, make sure I get a nice line lay, make sure that line gets sunk all the way along the bottom, right back to the rod tip, and then I can set my bobbin up how I would like it, whether I want it semi-slack, completely slack, and that's depending on how far I'm fishing out really. So yeah, little tip for small waters, get on the fluorocarbon mainline. So I'll just run you through the mix that I like to use in my sticks. I've just taken some of the boilie crumb that I've made for my solid bags. This is soaked in the Amino 365, and I just grab a little bit like that, push it against the corner. You don't need a lot, just a little bit, so it'll be a bit of a traction around your hook bait. Let that go down, get your plunger, push it against your thumb. Like I say, the stick doesn't need to be massive. A little twist, tie that off there, another knot, cut in between the two, and there it is, and the PVA is ready to go for the next one. If you put these tactics that I've shown you in this film to use on venues like this, you will catch fish. So until next time, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for more tips and tactics. Be lucky, and we'll catch you later.